You are now live on air.
Hello, folks. We are live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound on the Detecting Lifestyle Radio Network. I am your host, Josh Kimmel, aka Treasure Seeker. Maybe not the Treasure Seeker, but a Treasure Seeker. And we appreciate to see all of the listeners that are tuning in from the confines of your tablet, computer, or your not-so-smart smartphone. We're glad to have each and every one of you and happy that you've tuned in again for another good show. Tonight's show should be very interesting, and I would like to introduce my guest, but before I do that, a little bit of statistics. Some of you may have noticed the other day I posted on the Beyond Sight and Sound Facebook group a survey done earlier this year indicates that 4 out of 10 married men either have lost or will lose their wedding rings. Usually within the first few months of marriage, because it's something they're not accustomed to wearing. And with, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 million married men in the U.S. alone, that translates into a staggering number of lost rings. Factor in the women, because they lose them too. We're now looking at millions of lost rings. So they're out there, folks. They're everywhere. They're being lost daily. Water sports, gym activities, working around the house. Maybe you lost it while you were asleep. The medical industry, they lose them. Physical industries. The list just goes on and on and on. Many different ways that they're lost. And the consistent thing is, normally when they're lost, is a very distressing thing for the owner. It's one of those situations where each ring is very unique in its own and has sentimental ties and a wonderful story that goes with it, memories for the owner. When that item's lost, that story stops. But does it really? Does it have to? No. If you can find someone to help to return that special lost item, that story can and will continue. And for us as treasure hunters, yes, we find rings, and many of us, we do return them, and we know that there's still more to be found out there. Some of them can't be returned. So it's not like it's necessarily taking money out of somebody's pocket if we run across that ring and we return it or whatever. There's plenty to be found when you look at the stats and you look at the numbers, that there have been millions lost. And this is wedding bands we're talking about. We're not even thinking about class rings, engagement rings, rings that your grandmother left you. So the numbers become even more staggering. They grow to just a flabbergasting amount. Which brings me to our show tonight. Tonight we've went to Vancouver to speak with someone who definitely knows about lost rings. My guest tonight is a 40-plus year veteran of the hobby. Got his start, I believe, around the age of 12. And much like many of the rest of us, he has a special collection that he likes. And my guest tonight collects smiles. Stories, if you will. Hero of sorts to some that he's crossed paths with. And just a really wonderful guy to talk to. Very friendly, very personable, and just has a real passion, not only for the hobby, but for helping others, which he's tried to fulfill his dream over the years of making a household name out of an idea that he has had and formed into the organization that is now known as the Ring Finders Directory. My guest tonight, excuse me, folks, is none other than Mr. Chris Turner, founder and CEO of the ringfinders.com. Chris, how's it going?
Wow, thanks, Josh. It's going great. Nice to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. Sometimes, especially with what you do, things can be a little hectic at times. And working with the time difference, it can kind of mess with people a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
you know what? You never know when you're going to call. You're going to be sitting at dinner, Josh, all of a sudden the phone rings, and I just blast out of the house, and I'm on a search, and I live for it. I love it. Doesn't matter day or night. I've gone out on searches at 4 in the morning to meet the low tides and make sure I have a chance of helping these people. So, time doesn't matter, day or night.
Right. I got something I do want to get into real quick, but we've had a caller come in, so we'll see what they've got for us. Go ahead, caller. You're on Beyond Sight and Sound with myself and Chris Turner.
Oh, yourself and Chris Turner. This is Dave from Dave's Metal Detecting here on Maui.
Oh, hello, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
How's it going?
All right.
Right on, right on. I'm happy about the show. That's great. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been on the Ring Finders for probably about 6 years now, and been metal detecting here on Maui for 15, and returned a little over $1 million in jewelry.
Wow.
Wow.
That is just awesome.
Gotta feel a little jealous. I mean, what a place to live, Dave. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Right.
Thanks. I love doing it. That's why the whole reason why I started doing it is to help people, and get their stuff back to them. I would love to return everything that I have in a safe deposit box, but it's really hard. Once you have it and the visitor goes home, they feel it's lost. Lost in the ocean.
Right.
That is the toughest thing, and that's one of the reasons I started the Ring Finders is to give people a second chance. And most people, when they've lost that special something, they do everything they can at that moment to search for it. Thankfully, now we have the internet. People are starting to realize if they can Google in certain words, keywords, they'll come across our directory members. So the numbers are starting to grow. We're starting to help more and more people, and yeah, it's fantastic. I'm so happy to have you on the directory, and what you guys do out there in Hawaii is incredible, and it's paradise for everything and lost rings. Do you have a really special one, Dave, that you can remember helping?
I did help this one guy. He is, they just had gotten engaged here in Hawaii. They took the trip, got engaged, and a lady was sitting. The beach was getting eroded that day, so there was about 1 foot to 1.5 foot of cutout from the sand, and she was sitting on that, and was kind of admiring her ring and kind of messing with it a little bit, and a big wave came and hit her. And I came up and hit that ledge and shot right up on her, and her ring went flying, like it had to have been like close to her knuckle or something. Went flying. I was at work that day, and I told them I'd come at night that evening and search for it. And it was about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. I went to go search for it because it was basically there, should have been there in the wet sand. And I did not find it. Over the years, every time I went back to that beach, I was like, I know that ring has to be here somewhere. It has to be here. And almost 3 years later, I found that ring. The diamond had the little laser etched number in it, like the GIA number and everything. I knew it was theirs. And I had it all polished up and put it in a nice box. And it was just before Valentine's Day. And I called the guy up and I said, I found your ring. And he's like just going crazy. And I was like, you know what? I think I can get it to you by Valentine's Day to give it back to her again.
Great
at Valentine's
timing.
Day. And and I had it shipped back, and it got there like a day after Valentine's Day. So and he gave it back to her, and she was just flabbergasted that they had gotten the ring back. It was almost 3 years later that returned that ring.
Wow.
That is
what a
awesome.
fantastic story. Wow. It just goes to show you that every ring, Josh, has an incredible story attached to it. And those stories usually just end abruptly. They end, and that's it. It stops. And, you know, for the members in the directory, we get to find those stories and continue them for the people. And, well, what a great story, Dave. What a good return.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was actually recently, about a year ago, in the newspaper here on Maui. You could Google Maui News and punch in metal detector, and I'm on there. And I returned one of the local high school class ring to a lady she had lost 52 years ago.
Awesome.
In the ocean. And really surprised that it was still in very good condition. And she's like 72 years old on hospice, and she didn't even want to really meet up with me because she ain't in very good health at this point. But I wish I would have, been able to at least meet her and, hand it back to her. But she told me to send it to her. But she was a retired kindergarten teacher, and
Wow.
she told me that one of her kindergarten students is now an editor at the Maui News, which is the biggest newspaper here on Maui. And she called her up, and a week or two later, I was in the newspaper. So that was another really good one there.
Oh, that's great, because with so much bad light that can be cast on the hobby, when you get these return stories like that, it's good for them to be put out in the media, because it shows the good that's being done with the hobby.
Right.
All right, well, I thank you for your call, Dave.
Yeah, just to everybody out there, if you ever lost anything, don't think it's gone forever. Make sure you contact the ring finders, and there's somebody close everywhere, all around the world, that will help you out. And also, if you're ever back on Maui, you lose something, call me up, lostringmaui.com. I'm also on Facebook, Dave's Metal Detecting, Yelp, YouTube, Google Plus, all Dave's Metal Detecting.
All right.
Thank you for having me on. That's awesome.
Thanks for the call.
Mahalo, Dave. Take care, man.
Well, now, I myself have followed your videos for years, as well as the different media releases I've seen about the ring finders. And many of us have heard how, what the ring finders does and how they got started, and we'll get into that too. But let's go back a little bit. Let's backtrack and find out who is Chris Turner. How did you get your start in the hobby? What spurred you to get into metal detecting? Were there other hunters around, or it was just something you always wanted to try, or how did you get to where you are now?
Well, Josh, when I believe I was 12, I was either 12 or 14, and my dad had a film and stream magazine, and I was reading it, and it was all about hunting and stuff and fishing, and I saw this article about metal detecting, and I asked my father, what is that? And he said, well, you find treasure with that. And that just got me going. I started asking questions, and back in the early 70s, there's no computers, so my pops had a pretty good idea how it worked, and I said, can I get one? He's like, absolutely. I go, fantastic. He goes, get a job. So I had to go get a job. I had to get a job. So on my summer holidays, I worked at a chicken farm for the whole summer to make enough money to buy my first metal detector. It was a white Coin Master. I still have it in my closet. I think it took about 10 batteries, and the thing weighed 100 pounds, and it was a BFO. And I was so excited, and you know, I started finding coins. Back then, the silver coins quite a bit, but you know what? It was it got me addicted. I played with that for years, and then put it aside because I had a soccer career for 7 years. I played professional soccer, and after my soccer career, the first thing I did was pick up my metal detector, and I haven't put it down.
Wow. And if I remember right, I believe the first instance may have been on a beach in L.A.
Yep.
Where you were tracked down by a couple?
Yeah, it was early in the morning, and I had a guy come charging at me, and I'm not like one of those people that can actually do it during the day and around people. I like to be sort of out of the light of people, so I really did it throughout the night, sometimes in early mornings. And this guy came charging and yelling. I thought he was after me, so I'm just like ready to, you know, for a fight. And as he got closer, I could hear him yelling. He's like, "Oh, my wife, she lost her ring. Can you help?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, sure." So he walked me up to the spot, and I could see them and searching on their hands and knees for the whole night, pretty much. And he told me they were there having a picnic, and the ring came off, and their whole night consisted of just searching for it. It took me a matter of a minute to find it, and she just broke down in tears. He was just so excited. He pulled his wallet out and gave me everything he had, and I'm like, whoa, I don't want any money. He's like, "You're taking it." And I said, "No, I don't want your money." He goes, "You're taking it. You don't know what this means to us." And they walked off, and they were just so happy. I'm sitting there with big money going like, wow, I thank you. So I continued on. I ended up moving to Cancun for a year, and I lived there. And the same thing happened in Cancun. Early in the morning, people came up to me, lost their rings. I found it. The wallets came out, and I didn't want the money. I was happy doing what I did, and then everybody just insisted I take it. So I knew there was something there. There has to be a service to help people, and that's where I came up with the idea of Finders. It was a small little company I had here in Vancouver for close to 20 years, and you know, it was even before computers really. I was just passing out cards to lifeguards and putting in rec centers, and I get the calls here and there, and it just inspired me because I saw what it meant to people. And today it's going into a global directory, and I share my information, my knowledge for the past 20 years of helping people with my members, and I help them in their towns and cities around the world do what I do. And it's just the most exhilarating thing. I mean, there's nothing better than finding something somebody has given up on and seeing the look in their face. And I've got a YouTube channel with like 157 videos of it, and I'm getting a little better at capturing the actual moments now and seeing the reactions, and I live for the calls. I just absolutely love it.
And I think that's the nice thing about it too, is being able to catch that reaction, because they're just, in many cases, so amazed that it was actually able to be found. Because once it's lost, it's like, oh, what do I do? It's gone forever now, and how am I going to ever replace it? It won't be the same. And
it really, Josh, it never is the same, because you think of, even if somebody just got married yesterday, that ring was given to them by their husband yesterday. And it was so sentimental. Even the one-day rings, I've seen people break down and cry when I find their rings, because of what it meant to them. They know they can buy another one. You can replace it, but it's not the one your husband gave to you on that day. And that's what makes it so amazingly special. The rings that your grandparents give, you know, someone, their son, their grandson. I just had that the other day. I had a search for this young man. His mother contacted me, told me the story that they're spreading their grandparents' ashes. The young man went ahead, was thrown rocks into the water, and his ring went flying. The ring was gifted to him by his grandparents to be used and melted into a ring for his future wife. Well, he only wore it that day because they were spreading the ashes in memory. and he loses it. Well, the family spent 4 hours in their hands and knees searching for it. The next day, another 4 hours, and then his wife found me online, contacted me. I found it in 20 minutes. And I just love helping continue people's stories. I really do. I mean, it's addicting once you start doing it. Any of the members on the Ring Finders that join and they get their first call, I usually get a phone call or an email right away saying, I got my first call. Now I know what it's all about. And it is just to see the reactions, and I just love it. I just love reading every story and seeing what's being found. I mean, I'm looking at one now, Darren Gray from Twin Cities Metro, Minnesota. He just found another class ring that was returned, and the ring was lost in 1950.
Wow.
So, I mean, what a story. And the man was still alive, too, and it was returned to him. I mean, that's just, he was 82 years old. He was from Fort Worth, Texas. It's on our blog page, and just the stories and hearing that he just got that ring, went swimming and lost it the day he got it, basically. So he never even got to wear it. He lost it. And now, how many years is that?
64.
64 years later, it's being gifted back to him. I mean, that's the positive thing about this hobby. This is the greatest thing about what we do. There's so many guys out there meditating that are finding wedding bands, rings. How do you ever find an owner to a ring? It is impossible. This year I got like 12 rings in my collection right now that I'd love to find the smiles for, but people just give up. It's like if they don't know to go online, if they don't know how to find us, those rings are lost forever in their mind. So, it's so rewarding to be able to find people and have them find us. That's, again, why I created this directory.
Right.
So, hang on, I'm going to shut my bedroom. I hear this Harley downstairs. So that's the greatest thing about the directory is we are able to help people find their lost smiles. And I'm so proud of it. And I'm so proud of the members that have joined. And it's going to continue to grow. And we're going to help more and more people throughout the years. And, thank God for computers. And, this definitely is giving people a chance, giving them a second chance to find what they thought was lost. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. With the advent of the internet, it helps to promote and get the word out more to where I'm sure your member base has grown dramatically since you've started the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as has our, our hits, we've gone from like 200 to 400 hits a month to 7,000 to 10,000 hits a month now, and people are starting to find the directory. My goal, and I said this in the beginning, is to make the Ring Finders a household name. I believe once people know this site exists, there's going to be so many calls, because people are losing rings, like you said in the beginning, the intro, in like sporting events, playing out with their dogs, throwing balls, sticks, snowballs, getting mad at their spouses, which happens a lot. People throwing rings at a car windows, and you name it, people are losing it, and they want it back. But if they don't know this exists, they'll never get it back. So, it's growing slowly, but I have big dreams that one day we will be a household name.
Oh, yeah. There's been times where I don't normally get contacted for recent losses. Mine are more people contact me and say, oh, I lost my ring 6 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But I never thought that there would be a chance to get it back. Now I see there could be a possibility. Can you help?
Yes. And that's fantastic. And those stories are beautiful. I love the ones when you find out they've been lost. Like, Newspaper was doing a story on my company out here a few years back, and I met the reporter, and he started laughing. I thought he was laughing at what I was doing. I'm thinking, thinking to myself, why is he laughing? I go, why are you laughing? He's like, oh, no. And I go, no, tell me, what are you laughing at? And he's like, well, I got mad at my wife. I was sitting in the jacuzzi in the backyard, and I threw the ring out the jacuzzi into the yard. I said, well, I'll find that for you. He goes, no, that was 12 years ago. He goes, I've done so much landscape, and it's gone. I ended up finding it for him.
Awesome.
So I just love those searches when there's some years to it, because when you put it in their hand, the look on their face is like this wonderment, like how.
Oh, yeah,
that's
they're
another
just
thing, too.
absolutely shocked, going, oh, my God, how did you do it?
I know. And it was, I got to tell you, it wasn't an easy search. It was in his garden, and against a root of a plant on the side. So I was never getting a strong signal. I was getting a little signal, and I was determined to find this because I knew it would be a great story. I spent hours in his yard, and I just was digging every single signal, every faint signal, and I got this faint signal, and it was up against the root, and I pulled it out, and I thought, oh, thank God I dug this, because it wouldn't be a normal signal that you would be looking for.
Right.
It just goes to show you, dig everything.
We've got a caller here that, if I'm seeing this area code correctly, this could be a very interesting call. 303 area code. Who do we have?
Well, hello there, Josh.
Yep.
This is Jeff Luber talking to you from the Relic Roundup.
How's it going, Jeff?
I'm doing just fine. I tell you what, it's a beautiful day here, and you know what? You got a great guest on tonight. It's a fun conversation, and I've actually been a proud member of Ring Finders since, I believe it was 2010. Is that about right, Chris?
Yeah, I'm just looking up now, Jeff. I believe you're right. Let me have a look here. Hang on. Jeff. 2010, March 04, 2010.
So,
April 04, 2010.
Yeah, and I'm not the most prolific ring finder in the group by any means, but since 2010, I think I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of about 70 returned rings. So, you know what? That's 70 smiles and 70 or so people that are extremely happy, and almost every one of them are very thankful. And they literally say, I can't believe there's a service like that out there, and I'm so thankful that I found you guys. And you know what? It's made quite a difference here where I live in Colorado, in the Denver metro area, and actually throughout the state, because I have traveled 4 or 5, 6 hours sometimes to go try and retrieve a ring for somebody.
Now, in a term of successful recoveries like that, like from a statistical standpoint, ballpark, you say you've done 70 returns. And we know that sometimes, unfortunately, ring hunts aren't successful, or sometimes it's more a matter of closure for the owners.
Correct.
Out of the 70 that you have returned, how many have you been called for where maybe it was just a case of closure, or somebody may have beaten you to it or something?
Well, and that is a very good question. I'm guessing I'm figuring I'm right around about 80% on ring recoveries. I figure that because sometimes rings aren't lost where they think they're lost. It is a closure kind of thing, and it's not in the yard. I just had a search about a week and a half ago where, you know, she wanted me to search the yard because that's where she's doing some yard work, you know, trimming bushes, trimming some trees, and it was for an earring. And I had the other earring there. I checked it in the machine, read it just fine, searched the whole yard a couple times with 2 different machines, 2 different coils each on each machine, and it was not in that yard. So they were happy to know that it wasn't there, but they're trying to figure out where the heck it could be, and I'm thinking it's probably hiding in their car.
Right. But still, an 80% success rate is good. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to, sorry, I jumped you there, but yeah, you know, these searches turn into closure for sure, and then you have to tell them it's going to show up. Just keep your eyes open, because, you know, she could have pulled her sweater off that morning. It could have been caught in her sweater in her house, found a month from now. That's happened to me so many times where people contact me and they've lost the ring. I go and search and they don't find it. I say, well, don't be surprised if it shows up. Give me a call when it does. I get a call like a month later. It was in my house. It was under my bed. And that's fantastic. I'm so happy for you. But if you don't find them, it's one of 2 reasons. It's just not there, and you lost it somewhere else. And that's usually the case. In public areas, though, you could easily be beaten to it. Very easily be beaten to it. So, and then there's the tides. There's all kinds of different reasons why we don't find it. But yeah, Jeff, I'm about the same, about 80%. I just went on to a search at Yoho National Park, a 10-hour drive, for a couple from France who's visiting here in B.C. and it was up by the Rocky Mountains. And they lost it in Arctic, or what was it, glacier-fed lake, which is extremely cold. I spent 5 hours up to my neck in water and did not find it. I'm going back next year with a diver because I know it's got to be in the, probably 6 to 10 feet range. So, we don't find absolutely everything, but, everybody's grateful that we are out there doing what we do.
And that's the important part, is that there are more and more people every day finding out that, metal detectorists are, in general, good people, and they are out there trying to do what they can to help people, and they've begun to find out that we can offer some assistance in situations like this.
And not only that, but there's many people that have contacted me through ring finders that say that they have rented a metal detector and gone out and searched, but couldn't find it. And I always tell them, well, it's equivalent to going out and renting a set of golf clubs and trying to win a golf tournament, because finding rings isn't as easy as a lot of people think.
Great point.
It takes some skill.
Yes, it's
an extremely good point. And it happens, I'd say, maybe 70% of the people that hire me have rented a metal detector before we've called and thought they were going to find it themselves. Call me, not very excited, saying, look, we searched for 7 hours, but we figured we just want to give this closure, bring you in. I found it in 10 minutes. They're like, how? How is that possible? We searched here. It's like, I've been doing this for 40 plus years. I've got the best equipment. And, they're saying it was deep in every single inch. It's like, yeah, I know. And here I'm looking at holes. I'm thinking, you don't have to dig if you just lost it yesterday. But people, like you say, you're not going to win a golf tournament just because you got a set of clubs.
Yeah,
right.
And it's a huge part of it is experience. Now, what machine do you actually use for you doing your ring search there, Chris?
You know what? I have. I've been a huge White fan. I have the White V3i. You'll see me using my Surfmaster PI Pro, which is the pulse induction. I use that a lot, and I use it land and water, sand and grass, because it's a recent loss. I know it's going to be a loud, proud signal. I'm not going to dig. I just get a signal, bend down, pinpoint, there it is. And I have XCals. I have CPX 3030. I just recently bought the Garrett AT Gold, which came in really handy on a search in a lake where I was just so grateful I bought this because I didn't have any sniper coils that could assist me in this search in not so in a lake, in a river. And it's the current we're dealing with in odd-shaped rocks, and I knew that. So this thing came with a hockey puck-styled loop, like a sniper coil, and it was so perfect. And this lady's engagement ring was wedged between 2 rocks. One that was about 3 feet high, and one that was 1.5 feet. So I got a signal. I wouldn't have got it with any other loop but this one. So that thing was just gold for me. It worked great.
He's got almost as many machines as you do, Jeff.
He's getting close. He's getting close.
Well, that's just a few that I named. I have more. I'm not going to name them all.
I think between Chris and I, we probably have most machines that are on the market nowadays.
Right.
And the great thing, Josh, is my wife never gets upset because, as you know, this on my directory, most of my members work on a reward basis. It's what people can afford and what it's worth to them for us to come out and find their lost jewelry. I give 15% of children's hospital. I've been doing that forever. But I never set a price. It's what people pay and what's worth to them. I've done it for a loaf of homemade banana bread. I paid $2,000 to drive 10 hours and find 3 rings on the side of the road. You just never know what you're going to get. And it supports me, keeps me in some good equipment, and yeah.
And it's not all about the money by any means. I mean, there's many of us members, and I know Chris has done it too, where there's cases where the person can't, afford any, even gas money. I've done searches for people that couldn't even afford the gas money. You know what? It's about getting out there, getting their search done, and you know what?
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Oh yeah, I've had them
Absolutely.
like that too, where they really can't afford anything, but that doesn't mean that they should be denied the chance to get their lost item back. So I still go out and do what I can.
And it doesn't matter if it's a $10 ring or a $1,000 ring or a $30,000 ring. You got to go out there and give it 110% for each and every search.
Exactly, because there's still sentimental attachment to it, and really, you just can't put a price on handing someone a piece of their life back.
You guys were.
So true.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, please.
I would say there's a search I did last year for a young gentleman. He's 13. He was out playing football and had on his grandfather's dog take from the Korean War, and that was the only thing he had because his grandfather passed away a few months before that. And I went out and searched. It was like 25, 30 degrees out and a pretty good wind out that day, and I spent about an hour and a half out there searching for this darn thing and finally found it. And his mother was so happy. She was crying, going, "Can't believe the amount of effort you put into it." I was like, I don't care if it's, like I said, the dog take actually had no monetary value. All the value was right there in their hearts, and that
Right.
It was amazing to see the look on all their faces when I found it.
That's true.
It's the greatest job in the world, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I don't know, but it looks like we may have another Ring Finder member on here. 603 area code. Who do we have?
You're a Swansea Searcher from New Hampshire.
Oh, okay, Swansea. How's it going?
Not too bad. How you guys doing tonight?
All right, you're on with myself, Jeff Lubert, and Chris Turner.
Well, I want to say that I enjoy Chris's videos, and I have a quick question for Chris because I've been trying to return a ring since April that I found. It's a 1972 class ring from 3 hours south where I live, a different state. They're in Massachusetts. I'm from New Hampshire. It's got all three initials on the inside of the ring. It's a high school class ring. I've contacted the high school. I've looked at the yearbook. No exact initial match. The Duxbury, Massachusetts paper put out an article about the ring that was found and all the information with the pictures and everything else. Is there any other route to go? Because, again, it means nothing to me, but is there another way I can go to try to return this ring?
Have you heard of Class Ring Finder?
That's what I was going to say.
That's classringfinder.com, where you can register the ring. You might want to check that out. I'm surprised you're having such a hard time.
Yeah, because usually class rings are easy to track down.
There was only like 45 graduates from that class that year in 1972, and none of the initials match up with anybody.
The yearbook that you looked at, was this the graduating year?
Correct.
I would try to find an earlier yearbook, too, like maybe a sophomore year.
I did. I looked at the 1970, 1971, 1972, and there's all three initials match up.
Could it be
the
possible?
Duxbury Free Library actually shows that. What's that?
Could it be possible it could be a teacher's ring?
I don't know. It says Duxbury High School around the gem in the middle. It looks like an emerald. It's got a picture on one side that looks like, I guess, the Minuteman, from Massachusetts. On the other side, it says 1972 with just a floral pattern. And that's it. But I went through 1970, 71, 72. It is a 72 class ring found, again, 3 hours north in Dublin, New Hampshire, from a Duxbury High School, Massachusetts high school.
Now, what was that school's mascot? Because maybe there's
that
another
school's mascot is actually like a wolf or a dog of some sort.
That's what I was wondering. Maybe it's another Duxbury. Maybe there's one in another state. Because
on the other side of the ring, there's a picture of a globe, and it's got the Massachusetts state sticking in the middle of the globe.
All right. Sounds like you got it nailed.
I thought of that too. There's a Duxbury in 3 different states in New England.
Wow.
You know what? What I love about this is the detective work you're doing right now, trying to find it. I mean, to me, that's one of the most exciting parts of what we do. You're doing it since April, yeah? So,
oh, yeah.
So, I mean, this is the one chance we do have of finding the ring and getting it back. It's a class ring, championship ring. That's our big chance. Any wedding bands, any other rings, when they're lost and have been lost for years, there's virtually no chance of finding the owner. So it's exciting. I think the only thing I could suggest would be classringfinder.com.
Or maybe if it's a Joslin's ring, go to the Joslin website and inquire with them.
It is a Joslin's ring, yep.
Yeah, maybe you can contact them and they can check, like, sales records or something.
Yes, they could
Well,
check their
I
records.
contacted Jostens, and I sent Jostens a picture of the class ring because the logo on the opposite side, which looks like, I don't know, for my better guess, is a Minuteman logo. It looks like a guy with a shield over his face and a sword in his hand. They said they don't remember ever releasing that emblem on a class ring.
Wow.
Oh, it's very strange. I mean, the initials are clear as day. KFB on the inside of it. It says Duxbury High School on the outside. It's got the Mass logo on the other side of it, and it's got that weird Minuteman thing. And then there's a flower pattern that runs pretty much around the whole ring. It says 10 carat on the inside. And again, I've gone through every jump hurdle I can possibly do, including the Duxbury High School itself, which they weren't very helpful at all. But the Duxbury newspaper published a full-page article about where it was found, how it was found, if anybody has any information. And I've heard nothing since April, I believe it was the 26th.
And is this a man's or a woman's?
I'm guessing woman's because it barely fits over my pinky finger, but it's one of those giant, chunky, bulky rings. It's 13.6 grams.
Wow.
Usually the women's rings are smaller.
I was just
Well, you know
curious because maybe if you check the graduating class, you might be able to find a female name that ties to the first initial but not the second because they actually got married before they graduated.
That's what I was wondering. If it was an after graduate, they couldn't afford it in high school. Maybe they got their last name changed. They finally bought their class ring. That type of thing. But I've gotten no positive information after the fact. I have one woman that graduated in that class that says she has no idea, and we've been emailing back and forth even since April, and she has no clue who that could possibly been to.
Wow. I don't know. Could check with maybe a class reunion group.
You're stumping
Yeah,
a lot of us
I
here.
thought it would be easy too.
It's the only class ring I've ever found, the only piece of gold I've ever found, other than a gold gilded button. And I thought, this is my one opportunity to return something to somebody, but it's just been a steeplechase at this point.
Yeah, because normally, like Chris said, when, wedding bands and stuff, maybe not so much information, but when it comes to those special rings like the class rings, championship rings, stuff like that, they're loaded with detail. That makes it all that much easier to track down the owner.
Yeah, we've had members just return one that was 64 years, 1950 class ring. The guy's 84, I think, and they just returned it. And that's happening a lot. Some rings that are like 50, 60 years old being returned to the owners. So I feel you're going to find it. I just think it's, I don't know. Like you said earlier, it could have been a changed last name, which is kind of throwing you back,
Well, what I might do is I might actually send a picture to Chris, and maybe he can do a little bit of research on it himself.
Right.
Sure. I love a challenge.
And there's a Facebook group about lost and found jewelry where a lot of the times if they're having trouble finding owners, they'll post a picture of it there with some information and see if somebody can actually tie things together.
Well, if any of you guys can give me that information, I'd be happy to pass it along again. It means nothing to me. I don't want to scrap the thing out. I'll hold on to it as long as it takes. I'd rather see somebody, even if the guy's dead or the woman's dead, I'd rather have it go on to their family members. To me, it's not a gold thing to me. It's a return of memento thing.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get some information your way that may help assist with that, and you're able to track down who it should go to.
Well, I'd appreciate it, guys. If anybody has any info they can send me, I'll send the pictures and whatever I have on it, all of the inside information. I've got great pictures of the inside mint marks. I've got great pictures of the outside. I can send it to, Beyond Sight and Sound. I can send it to whoever.
Awesome. And just in case anyone is listening that thinks they may be able to help, why don't you let them know where they can find you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I'm Swansea Searcher, SwanzeeSearcher, Swansea Searcher. I'm on Dave's Forum. I'm on Beyond Sight and Sound, Inside Detecting, all of them. Or you can send me an email at xtewab0@yahoo.com.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can do what we can to help you track down the owner, and we'll see how that goes for you, and wish you the best of luck.
Oh, yeah, I'd be ecstatic. I'd love to see the person's face on the facial expression to see that thing returned.
Right, and if you can track them down, make sure to get a picture, because you figure once you give that fine back, you don't have it, but you've still got the picture that you can at least go ahead and, look back on that later and kind of reminisce about what you had done and the impact you made on their lives by being able to return that item.
Oh, yeah. For my first time finding a piece of gold, and I know a lot of people are into it for the monetary value. I'd rather see my first piece of gold returned, and I want to see the facial expression to go with it.
Exactly. Well, I thank you for the call, Swansea, and hopefully we can help you with that.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good night, and I enjoy this show, and I love watching Chris's videos every time he returns a ring. It's awesome to see it happen.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the positive, and hopefully we can help you get that ring back.
Oh, that'd be great, Chris. All right, have a good night, guys.
You too.
Happy hunting.
That is interesting, because usually class rings are the easiest to return.
Absolutely. You know what? It's I like it though, because to me it's just a detective. You got to sit there and try to put the pieces together and find this owner, because you know there's going to be a smile at the end of it, and the person that is not going to believe this ring has been recovered. And I forgot to ask where he found it. Did he mention where he found it?
No, he didn't.
It would have been interesting to hear what he found. But on the same subject, I got to tell you, just a month ago or so, we had a member, and one of his dreams came true. Do we have Jeff? Are you still on there?
I am.
Yeah, Jeff's still here.
Yeah. Jeff, did you see the one 1980 Philadelphia Eagles NFC championship ring that was found by Dave Mills?
I seen it. I'd never actually got a chance to read in depth on it. I just seen the ring was found and just kind of shook my head. Yeah.
And you know what? The thing, I talked to him about it, and he was a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan. He knew who this player was, and it was like a dream come true. He goes, if I never find another gold ring, I found the ring of my dreams, because he was able to wear it for a couple of days before he gave it back. And to give it back to a football legend, he was just so thrilled, and as was the gentleman who lost it. But what a cool story, and a championship ring. I mean, so cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely, that would be.
Now, did he actually get to meet him in the return?
Oh, he got to meet him. Not only did he get to meet him, he got him to sign some of his players' cards, and he said it was just the best thing in the world. So yeah, he got to meet him, get his picture with him, and this is the greatest thing about this directory. And Jeff, I don't know if you've ever had any calls like this, and Josh, you just joined the directory. I look forward to seeing what you're going to be finding here. But, this has opened doors for our treasure hunters, our members, to get phone calls like house and property searches, which I help the members who get these calls. I talk them through it and help them. I've been doing house and property searches for years. But you never know who's going to call. We had a member get called to look for gold, found 90 pounds of silver mercury, 10,000 silver, mercury, and Roosevelt dimes. I think it was 750 walking liberties.
Wow.
Just incredible. We're getting insurance companies now that have found our directory and going through our members list and contacting members to come out and find lost rings. We had a member in Minnesota who split it with another member, and they found, I think it was a $69,000 diamond ring, and they made $18,000 on the percentage value they negotiated for this insurance.
Now, those guys worked their butts off for that one, though. You got to admit.
Oh, boy. They did. They did work their butts off for that. And I think they spent like close to 9 hours in the water just clearing the debris, the bottle cans, the bottle caps, the junk that was under there. But they worked hard for it. But what a great recovery. What a great percentage they got for themselves.
Right, and in a situation like that, it just goes to show you've got to be persistent.
Yeah, there's some rings I've actually been back to the house. One where the ring was actually thrown in a drunken argument. I went back to the house 3 or 4 times at 4 hours of search before I found the ring. So you have to be persistent no matter what. Yeah,
You do.
And 603 area code. You're on with myself, Chris Turner of the Ring Finders, and Jeff Lubert. 603. Hello, caller. Okay.
They're being shy.
Going once, going twice. Let's see. 8142. Are you there? Okay. Not sure. They're a little shy. Cat's got their tongue, I guess. Maybe they'll call back. But you two were saying.
So being persistent, and part of it is too. You know what? Just because someone says, "Hey, they've searched for it already," and you know what, they didn't find it, but they're still calling you to get closure on it. You still got to give 110%, even on those when they search, because like Chris was saying, I've had a bunch of people too say, "Hey, they've searched, with their metal detectors or rented metal detector and gave it a try, and couldn't find it." Those are the ones that really, I think, are even more fun than just your standard ones, because they put in the effort, they know what it takes, they made quite an effort to do it, and they couldn't find it. And then if you can pull that ring out, the looks on their faces is quite amazing.
Yeah, then it's just complete and total amazement. How did you do it? We looked there.
Yep.
I can certainly understand.
Yeah. One of the other things, too, that I have people do, because there are times when people call me up and I can't get to their location for a day or two, I always tell them to sit down and physically write down everything they did from the time that last time they knew they had the ring or the item for a fact till the time it was gone, and literally write it down in a timeline so that that you can sit there and eliminate and say, all right, they never went to the backyard, or they did go to the backyard and didn't go to the front yard, so you don't need to search there.
Right.
It's pretty important, I think, to get that timeline.
And you want to get the details while they're as fresh as possible, too, because the further down the road they go, the more the story starts to kind of change in their own mind, so to speak, and they start to second-guess themselves or fill in the blanks.
Yep. And that's why I have them write it down over, it might take them 2-3 days to write it down, going, oh, yeah, that's right, I did go out and get the mail. Oh, I did, take the dog out for a quick walk. Those little details like that, because I had a lady one time give me a call and say, hey, you know what, I lost my ring. I was at my daughter's scrap yard, of all things, a metal scrap yard, and I was just wondering if you could help me. Yeah, I went to go look for it, and she swore that's the only thing she did that day. Well, I went there, and I said, well, you know what, there's nothing I can do with a metal detector here, other than sit here and, search visually with you. And as we're getting ready to do the search, she gets a call from the library that she said she never mentioned that before. And she said she only stopped in to drop off a book and ran out quick. The ring fell off then. Someone found it and turned it in. So,
wow.
8142, I see you're back. You're on with myself, Chris Turner, and Jeff Lubert.
Hey, guys, it's Swansea again.
Okay.
I heard you guys asking where I found that ring at. It was actually at a Dublin Christian Academy here in Dublin, New Hampshire, but I guess back in the 70s, it was a ski slope.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
So that might explain why the ring got dropped.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that could be an interesting bit of information to possibly help find the owner. So certainly very glad you called back with it.
A couple of guys that had been at this Christian Academy for years said that there was a tow line. There was only 2 slopes that went down this hill, and there was a tow line along the tree line, and I was right at that tree line where the tow line would have been.
Wow.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Thanks for calling back and letting us know. It just gives me a visual of where it was lost and the story.
Yeah, if that can give any relatable information, that'd be great. I mean, but that's really the best I can give you. It was at the Dublin Christian Academy in Dublin, New Hampshire. They had two little ski slopes down the path, and they had a tow line that went up along the tree line, and it was found in that tree line.
Perfect.
And sometimes you never know, that little piece of information, no matter how trivial it may seem, could help tie it to the owner.
It could, and I put that information in the newspaper article down in the town that it was originated from, and there's actually one. Well, actually, there's two little slight slits along one side of the ring, which looks like, I guess it's possible, a ski had gone over it, probably pressed it into the ground, and it was never seen since.
Wow.
Other than that, the ring is in mint condition.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Well, we appreciate you calling back with that.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that. If there's any information that could help with that, that's the last bit I really have out of the whole tale.
Okay. Well, we thank you for the information then, Swansea.
All right, thanks again, guys.
Yep.
Take care.
Well, that could potentially help explain some things. We'll see what happens with that. And hopefully, we are able to reunite them and see. We're going to take a real quick break. We'll be right back.
Are you a metal detecting enthusiast looking for a new machine? Maybe you're just getting started in the hobby and you're not sure what machine to get. Get down to earth and into the dirt. Contact Mike, the Buckeye Hunter of MT Detector Sales. Mike is an authorized multi-line dealer of MineLab, Garrett, Technetics, and Tesoro. Don't deal with someone who may not even hunt. Mike sells what works and uses the brands he sells, specializing in such models as the MineLab E-Track, CTX 3030, Garrett AT Pro, and Tesoro Outlaw. Get down to earth and into the dirt with MT Detector Sales. MTDetectorsales.com.
All right. Now, with the ring searches that both you have done, Jeff, as well as Chris, have you ever had any instances with a class ring being this problematic?
I personally don't come across too many. I personally don't come across too many class rings, to be honest, out here. So I can't reference that. How about you, Jeff?
I have not. I've only found a couple class rings myself, and the one took me, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 weeks to actually find the gentleman who owned that ring. He had moved out of state. He moved from Colorado down to Texas, and didn't really have any relatives back in the town where the ring originated at. So that one took me a bit, but through Facebook I was able to come up with it because it actually had the whole name inside it instead of just the initials.
Right. And that's another option for Swansea, too. Maybe he could search Facebook for, people who have attended that school or that class or something.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, it is pretty powerful out there, and you know what? There's some alumni associations out there as well that might be able to help out.
That's also a good point.
So,
because normally they are relatively easy to track down if you look hard enough, but much like with anything else, there are those problem areas, I guess.
An anomaly. This is really one of those anomalies that comes up and makes it, if you can actually find the person, it's going to be that much sweeter when you actually gets it returned.
Exactly, and makes it that much more interesting to track down.
You need to have a follow-up article.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. What's really neat is Swansea is going out of his way to do the right thing, get it back to the owner, and he knows the value in the smile and in the return, and that's the greatest part of this hobby right there.
Now, another good question, since we've got you both on, and obviously you're both experienced with treasure hunting and metal detecting, ring recoveries, and the such. There's always been the long-running debate, I'm sure everybody's seen it on the forums, to return or not return, and to each their own. Some people choose not to. Some people look at it as, by returning these items, you're actually taking money out of other hunters' pockets or something like that. What do you guys have to say to a statement like that? If somebody would tell you, well, why did you return that?
Can I start, Jeff?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, Josh, I think you answered that with your intro. If anybody coming in now, your intro about 4 out of 10 men lose their wedding band. 70 million men in the United States. You add in women to that, and there's astronomical amounts of lost rings. You know, the ring finders, we're gonna put a little tiny dent into it, and every year we're gonna find a bit more and a bit more, but we can never find everything that's out there. I go out hunting with some friends out here. Rings are being found all the time. So, you know, and they've been lost for years too. I mean, some of these oceans are bringing them in from out and dropping them off on our laps sometimes. So I think there's so many out there. You know, to reach his own, like you say, everybody's got their ways. The Ring Finders directory has been received. It's taken a while to see the growth of it and people actually understand what we're doing. I've been called, I've been emailed saying that it's wrong to take a reward for what we find, that we should never take money for returning people's rings. That's people's opinion. This is a service, and the members on this directory are providing the service. It's not like we, you know, okay, you lost your ring, we'll be there in a week. We react quickly, we're fast, and we're prepared to drive. I've driven 10 hours. I know other members have gone hours out of their way to go do this. You can't do that for free. And everybody I've ever found a ring for are so grateful to give a reward. And like you say, I don't put or set a price. It's what people can afford. So, you know, clubs, we're very slow to catch on to this, and now they are. And I've got the presidents of multiple clubs now using the directory to help people find their rings, because, you know, the directory of the name is driving people to us, and people are getting calls. So I think it's a great thing. I think there's enough for everybody out there. Whatever makes you happy. Jeff?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure that there are ring finders from the directory as well that, you know, will refuse to take the reward. That's up to them.
Mm-hmm.
You have never said that you have to take a reward. You never said you can't take a reward.
Good point.
That's totally up to the individual searcher. And you know what? If they want to drive for 3 or 4 hours one way and search for a ring for 4 or 5 hours and then turn around and drive that 4 or 5 hours back for nothing, so be it. You know what? That's up to them.
Yes.
Right, to each their
Absolutely.
own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I've had the calls at 2:30 in the morning to try, you know, come out and look for my ring. I've had the calls at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning, you know. One search I did was 11:30 at night at 17 below zero. Found the ring. And it took me an hour and a half to drive there.
Sounds like a service to me.
Right.
So,
And,
I mean, that's
you know,
fantastic.
we find those rings that there's just no way we're going to be able to return them, so there are more out there for us to keep as fines.
yeah, and that's just it. You know what? I return every ring that I can because, you know, it's all going to even out in the end. I find rings that there's no way, like you're saying, there's no way that I'll be able to find the owner for. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had an instance back in March, actually. Somebody asked me if I could find a ring, and it wasn't necessarily very valuable. I mean, we're talking $40, $50. Didn't want anything for it. They didn't offer anything for it, but they did allow me to search the rest of the yard. And a lot of times when you're able to do a good deed like that, like Jeff said, it evens out in the end. And before I left the property that day, I wound up coming up with an 1894 S Barber $50.
Nice.
So I'm going, well, you know, they're happy. They got their $40, $50 ring back, which is great. But I had a great day. I was able to return the ring and come out of there with a nice coin myself for my time.
Yeah. And I've had the same thing. I've had people say, hey, you know what? I asked them if I could search the yard because it was an old house that they had in the process of selling. It was a 1930s or 40s house. It wasn't excessively old. Found the ring that they wanted in about 5 or 10 minutes, and I got to spend the rest of the afternoon there searching, and I ended up with a Franklin half, I believe a couple Mercs and a couple Rosies, silver Rosies out of it as well. So
Nice.
Very good.
And a lot of times that's how I get permissions for properties, because they hear that I've found a ring for someone else, and they're like, well, hey, come on over and hunt my place. Don't know what you find, but more than welcome to look. So it does even out.
Yep.
I think, anyway. And you just never know what the next adventure is going to be, in a sense. You never know where that next call is going to come from, or that next contact, or even, you know, the impact that you've just made on someone else's life that could be just around the corner.
And one of the big things, too, one of the big things I've had, I actually had a gentleman or a lady call and asked me to come down and search for a ring. She couldn't do it that night, but I passed it off to a gentleman I knew it's an hour and a half drive away from here. And because of that, we had 2 more members of Ring Finders sign up. So,
awesome.
Because you can't do the search, and maybe you know someone in that area, hand it off to someone and tell them about the Ring Finders. Hopefully they'll get signed up and join this. I don't know if you want to call it an army or not.
A team of specialists.
Yeah. So.
Sounds like a very good way to put it, and it's been working out very well for Chris. It seems like the numbers are growing at a regular pace.
Yeah, you know what? I don't advertise the Ring Finders. I think I have one banner on the Canadian Metal Forum, and I think one other banner somewhere else. I can't think of it right now, but it's basically word of mouth is what's driven the Ring Finders. And, you know, in the beginning it was very slow. It was very humble, but it's growing every year. We're just shy of 300 members now. Extremely proud of everybody that's joined. You know, we've recovered over 3.1 million in lost jewelry, over 1,460 recoveries made to date, and that's just recorded recoveries. We're probably closer to 1,700 now.
Right, I hear that some members aren't necessarily real good on updating their blog.
Well, it's
that would be me.
Some people don't take pictures or forget to take pictures, or the person doesn't want their picture taken for a reason. And I only post the smiles. So there's many I have of just rings, but I don't post that. It's just the smiles with the rings. So I would say we're closer to 1,700 recoveries. We're coming on to 5 years old now, and like I said, my dream is to make this a household name. Before I die, I'd love to see over 1 million people served, almost like the Golden Arches when they first started. I'd love to see 1 million smiles on our directory. And yeah, I just can't say enough about how proud I am of what has taken place here and the people that join to help others. I think it's fantastic.
Right. Let's see. We've got another caller here. You're on with myself, Chris Turner, and Jeff Lubert.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening. Who do we have?
This is Tim Rippin from up in Virginia.
Well, hello, Tim.
How you doing? Good. Well, I've been a member in. I just ended up redoing my dues. I've been in for a little bit over a year. And I haven't had that many calls, but when you're talking about referring people, I actually had someone that was in Texas, one of our members, called me here because he wasn't familiar with our area for a lady that was out in the middle of the state, and I was able to help him get her in touch with one of the guys that was a lot closer. So I mean, it's a big network for everybody to get into, and on Chris's videos, I usually leave a comment every time he posts a new one. And I've talked to him a couple times, and I haven't had that many, but I try to videotape and put on when I do find. But
well, you know what? Well, thanks for chiming in, and you know, the calls come when they come, and nobody can predict when a call will come. But when they do, they're like the most exciting thing because you've got an automatic treasure hunt. And what I do and what I try to do with all my members is I help them promote themselves, and you know, there's certain ways to promote yourself that's going to get more people to you. Everybody's got their personal blog pages. I work with people to set those up, and you know, sometimes it doesn't seem like you're getting the calls, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is crazy. I've had 3 calls in 1 week, and you just, like I say, you never know who's going to call. Could be insurance company, could be lawyers for house and property searches. But when they come, they're exciting. And, you know, my whole thing, and I keep saying this, is I'm going to make this a household name. I'm going to keep working at it, and I want to see this happen because I know there's so many people out there. Where you are, Tim, I'm sure there's people losing the rings. They just got to know you're out there.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I've got huge, not retirement, but resort places. I mean, you got Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's a big naval, like Norfolk Naval Air Station, and the air base over there. We got a lot of stuff right here, but the beach over there is huge. And I know I've seen a lot of people out there in the mornings with their detectors. I've been over there once or twice. We got Ocean City up in Maryland the same way. And it's just a lot of people out there in the morning. I haven't had any calls for either of those two areas because they're away from me to drive, but if I did, I'd drive. And one of the last times, good.
Where are you listed, Tim?
In Virginia. It's a little peninsula that's attached to Maryland, but we're still part of Virginia. Kind of in between two large resort areas.
Is that Exmoor?
Excuse me?
Is that Exmoor?
Yeah, Exmoor.
Yeah, okay. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I've talked with Chris several times. As a matter of fact, one time I left a comment with him, and it was like karma. The next day, I got a call to go look for something. And I went out, and it didn't take me 30 minutes to find it for him. It wasn't a ring, it was a bracelet, but I found it in no time whatsoever. And it was only a couple miles from me, but it was just like karma. You know, I talked to him about not getting calls, and the next day I got a call.
Right.
One of the things that you could do, like Chris has talked about, is actually make up some business cards. You can get,
I do.
Work
I have
perfect.
some.
You can go drop them off those, lifeguard stations and the headquarters, so that they'll have that information.
I have some business cards. I've made some flyers up. I put them out at my Moose Lodge. Excuse me. I put it in some of the grocery stores here. My son-in-law's brother has a hardware store. I put it in there.
Good.
I've got a lot of cards out there, and a few of the bed and breakfasts around here down at the beach here near where I live.
Smart.
I got a call the other day. I've got one to go do, but it's going to be a month or two before I can get in there to look for it, and it's going to be a really interesting one. He called me about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and a little bit over a month. And the problem with it is, he was in his little ultralight glider thing, coming in towards the land to land in the little airport over here, and he pulled his glove off, and there went his wedding band.
Oh.
It dropped in the field on the way into the airport. And I mean, it's a little grass airport, not much to it, but mostly ultralights and little Cessnas and stuff. But I have to wait until the farmer picks the beans out of the field before I can get in there and look for it.
Well, that'll be fun. You know you're going to find it.
Oh, yeah, I've got a pretty good shot of it. I mean, he knows the way he was coming in, and he knew about where he was in the field when he took the glove off, which was just after he got into the field. So it's going to be on a path towards the landing strip. So, I mean, I probably got like a 20 or 30 foot wide area to go back and forth for about, I don't know, a quarter of a mile across the field, I guess.
Well,
I just have to wait for the beans to get cut.
Well, hopefully you can find it for the gentleman.
Yeah, I'd like to, because he's been offering me picking me up flying in his plane if I find it for him, just as a little extra bonus.
Awesome. Well, we've got calls stacking up. I appreciate your call, though.
All right, well, y'all have a good night, and keep them videos coming, Chris. I love watching them.
All right.
And look forward to your next recovery.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, y'all have a happy hunting, and we'll talk to you again soon.
And thanks for listening.
Okay.
Let's see here. 6010, you're on with myself, Chris Turner, and Jeff Lubert.
Howdy, Josh. It's Henry, Mr. Keebler.
Oh, Mr. Keebler, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
All right.
All right. Hey, I got just a really simple question for you guys.
Okay.
Okay. What would they suggest for machines per piece of jewelry, and the type of coil they would use as well.
Good question.
Mm. Okay. Now, do you ask what type of machines for different jewelry?
Yes.
Yes. For instance, if it was a necklace or a ring, pendant.
Okay. Yeah. And everybody knows necklaces are one of the hardest things to find, as is diamond earrings. Diamond stud earrings are almost virtually impossible to find. I mean, talk to anybody. You get a diamond earring, a small diamond earring with a small post. One of the most difficult things to find. And anybody out there listening, if you're going to take on this challenge of finding somebody's earring, make sure you get their other earring, put it in a little plastic bag, you put it in the grass and go over with a metal detector. See if you even get a little beep on it. Most machines that might capture that is a gold machine. So, a gold stinger, any type of gold machine with the elliptical coil or a very small sniper coil, you might have a chance. But there's not many detectors that will find diamond stud earrings. Jeff, your thoughts?
I agree with that. I've actually had a couple searches where I did find one, and one where there was no chance of finding it because it was in a park. So the only way we could do it literally was a visual search, and the couple gave up on me 3 times. I said, no, let's just give it a couple more minutes, and literally they said, you know what, we're done. He brushed his hand across a piece of bark, and there was the earring. So we did the search without a metal detector.
Yeah. There's not. That's a great question though, because there's different types of detectors for different types of relic hunting, prospecting. Most of us who work beaches use pulse induction opposed to VLS because we get better depth of pulse induction. There's some people that like to have a visual display to see what they're finding. Other people like myself, I'll dig absolutely everything on a beach because I don't want to miss anything. So I'm one of the old timers that just, I don't mind coming out with a bag full of garbage and dumping it a couple times and then find that I found a few rings with that as well.
Right. I'd rather dig a piece of trash than to walk on that iffy signal and wonder if I walked on a gold ring or something.
Right.
Well, and on ring searches, depending on how long a ring has been lost, if it's in a yard, I don't dig anything that's really past 1.5 inches reading on the machine. I may lose a whites as well, but I leave all the deeper targets because, a shallow target can hide that ring or earring or something along those lines, but those deeper ones, if the machine tells you it's 4 or 5 inches deep, I just let it go because I'm there to search for the ring and the ring only.
Good point.
Yeah. And I'll use a visual display. I'll use my White Speed 3i for yard searches when it's been a month or 2 or 3. That way I can see where the numbers are coming in and say, okay, I feel confident this could be the ring here, and I'll pop it out. Pulse inductions, like you say, you dig everything. I don't use those for property searches unless it's a recent loss. So many good machines out there, and depending where you live, you really got to research. And thank God for the internet and forums and all these amazing hunters out there that are listing all their experiences with their machines and what's working where. Because that's really important. What works for me here in Vancouver, Canada, might not necessarily work for you at your beaches because of the mineralization, So you really do have to research. I'm sure we all have our favorite machines, what works for us. And, that's the greatest thing, I think, is just asking around what's working for people and where. But sniper coils, if you missed it in the beginning, I had a ring search in a river, and because I had a sniper coil the size of a hockey puck, I was able to get this ring out of this river. And it was a hard search, and I found it in, I think, 20 minutes. So that kind of search, you don't want a 10-inch coil because you won't be able to get into the cracks and crevices where these rings could be hiding.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any one machine that is going to be, like you're saying, doesn't work necessarily in every aspect or every location throughout the country or the continent. When I do ring searches, I typically take 2 or 3 machines and probably 3 or 4 coils for each machine. There's been a couple searches where I've literally switched machines, switched coils 2 or 3 times, and then you find the ring because, like Chris is saying, I went over with an XLT and a Bigfoot and didn't find the ring. It went over with the XLT and a standard coil. Didn't find the ring. Finally, when I switched to the small 4x6 shooter coil, the ring came out of, there was an area where evidently they were doing some work years before the ring ever was lost, where they were cutting trim out, metal trim for the side of the house.
Oh.
And the ring was within that little batch of area of trash.
Right. That answered the question pretty well for you, Mr. Keebler?
It sure did, and I want to thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Keep up the videos there too, Keeb. Those are some good videos.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching you.
Well, thank you, and I enjoy watching everybody else's as well.
Thanks for the call and for listening.
All right.
Thanks for the call, Henry.
Okay, we've got one more caller here. Go ahead, caller. You're on with myself, Jeff Lubert, and Chris Turner.
How's it going, guys? Kevin Strahan.
How's it going, Kevin?
It's going. Good show again. Now, I've never had the opportunity to go look for a ring for somebody. I'm still waiting on my first call for that. So I just want to let everybody know when they go and do that on their own time, and they don't charge the people, and they let the people offer them a reward. It does nothing but make us look great.
This is true. Any good light that we can cast on the hobby and help people out is a great thing.
Yeah, I've got a guy in my in around my area, and he put a thing on Craigslist, and he charges per hour and per mile to go look for a ring for you. So I just put a post right up under his in the same little category, and told people, just call me. I'll do it for free. I don't charge them anything to find their ring for them.
There you go.
Not trying to be a jerk, but I mean, this guy, he's saying, well, I gotta, he's telling people he has to charge them to keep his business up. It's not a business for him. He's just doing it just to get money. It's not a business. He's not feeding his children with it.
Right.
Right. In I guess in defense of everybody, people felt the same way about me when I created the ring finders, and people were saying, how could you charge $39 to have people listen to you directly? I would never pay. This is ridiculous. And I kind of got bashed, on both sides in the beginning, until people started realizing what this directory was about. And as it grows, more and more people are going, wow, I understand what you're doing now. The people that were saying these things now have joined the directory. And I think, even this guy in the Craigslist, I understand what he's doing. He's providing a service, and he feels he wants that. My directory, I let everybody, they're metal technique specialists. They have to have a year experience, at least a year experience with their machine before they can join. And these people have an option to do whatever they want. They can charge, they can work on a reward basis. I'd say 97% of the people on the directory have kind of adopted the style I do, and that's on a reward basis. And I've done it, like you said at the beginning, for local homemade banana bread. I mean, I don't charge. It's what people feel it's worth to them, and it works for me. But in defense of the guy in the Craigslist, he sees it as a business where he could possibly make money. And, I guess, his thought is, if you own a lawnmower, do you go around cutting people's grass for free? You don't. So I kind of understand what he's doing, understand what you're doing. And it's just two people doing it different ways. But the end result is we're all trying to help people find their rings.
Right.
Yeah. So, double charge them is what I didn't care for. You're going to charge them to find the ring because he charges you per mile that he drives, and he's going to charge you per hour that he hunts for it.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, Kevin, when I first started this over 20 years ago, I started with a hourly rate and a finder's fee. I charged $40 an hour and a finder's fee. And one of my call-outs, I found the ring, and I think I charged $40 for the hour and $100, and the guy gave me $140. Looked at me and goes, my God, he goes, you don't charge enough. I would have paid you way more. And he walked away with a big smile. I thought, well, that's what I felt was fair. And that's how I kind of did it for the first couple months. And then I got a lady who contacted me and said, I'm really sorry, but I'm on welfare. I got 2 kids, and I lost my grandmother's ring. Would you find it in your heart to do this for free? And right then, I quit charging. I just could not charge anybody. And I said, of course I would. I'd do it for a photograph. So I went out and I found a ring, and I did it for a photograph. And since then, I never, ever put a price to anybody's ring. I work on a reward basis, and it's worked extremely well for me. And I mean, that's what works for me. But there's so many different people with so many different ideas of what they think works for them, and I respect everybody, and everybody has their own way of doing things. I'm just, like I say, I'm so proud of everybody on our directory for who they are, what they do, and mostly for trying to help other people find their lost items. So
that's right. Thanks for the call, Kevin. We got one more caller.
All right, thanks,
Kevin.
Go ahead, caller. You're on with myself, Chris Turner, and Jeff Lubert.
Aloha from Maui. How are you guys doing?
All right. Who do we have?
My name is Shannon Sheldon. I'm not exactly sure if my husband already called in or not. With him being a metal detector guy, I never know where he's at and what he's doing next. So,
Dave, it was Dave, wasn't it? Dave called us.
Dave metal detecting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he
cut
to the chase, man. He beat me.
He cheated you. He called us early on the show.
Oh, what a...
Matter
he was
of fact,
telling me about it, and I said, okay, I'm going to call from home. And he said, all right, I guess he just got thoroughly excited like he does when he goes on a metal detecting hunt.
Matter of fact, he was so quick on it, he called us once before we even went live.
Boy, I'm telling you, he was really excited. He said, babe, I got an email, and I want to call. I want to tell him my story and what I do. And I said, all right, you can't tell every story because we've got thousands of stories, and they've got an hour show. So, I mean, you got to cut to the chase, buddy.
Right.
So I didn't realize he called, but, if I could just say a couple words, not only on behalf of Dave's Metal Detecting out here on Maui and my husband, but just to all the metal detectors out there. I'm not a metal detector. I'm a mom. So I got a different kind of job. But I've got to say, what you guys do is absolutely incredible. And Dave has brought a different light to our eyes about metal detecting and why he does what he does. And just the look on people's faces after he finds something that they just thought would never be found again is absolutely enough for him to do what he does.
Right.
And I was listening to your program just a minute ago about the rewards, and that's how we base things out here. It's by reward. I think it's just rightfully so. These are not our items. These belong to someone else. And if we can return every item back to people, that's exactly what we try to do out here. We are a service, and we try to help people out here.
That's great
awesome
to hear.
Yeah, he's absolutely excited. And sometimes, I have to tell you, sometimes I get bored, and he comes on and he goes, I got another one, and I said, I can't handle another story, man. I mean, how many stories do you have? And it just goes on and on and on. But I mean, not only have we recovered thousands and thousands of items for people in and out of the waters, but we've also have items that Dave cannot part with because he knows that they belong to someone. And to him, every item, whether it's inscripted, it has something on it. I mean, it could be a gold band that he's got 10 or 12 of. He wants to return every item. So he's doing it all with passion and heart. Yeah. And, we've got a small group of guys that we work with out here, very close-knit little community out here. But, we've been successful with what we do with love and passion. And we've made so many wonderful friends through this journey and so many wonderful endings to sad stories. That it's just been an amazing journey with him, seeing what he does.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your call.
Thank you very much, guys. Happy findings to you.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
That's so cool. Bye-bye. That just makes me smile hearing the stories and the happiness that, a hobby has done for people and will continue to do. And, I know people... some people on the directory that have joined that haven't had the experiences as some others. It's coming, and as soon as you get a few under your belt, you just don't want to stop. It's addicting, the smiles and the happiness that you can find, and I'm addicted. I love it.
Exactly. We've already kind of ran over, but time flies when you're having fun. And I would like to take a quick minute, though, and let you guys be able to let people know where to find you. Let's start with Chris first.
Yeah, it's my website's called The Ring Finders. It's www.theringfinders.com. And if
Okay.
anybody wants to know how to join, they can go there, and there's a tab on how to become a ring finder. Anybody has a question, any help on any kind of searches or questions about equipment or any way I can help. Even if you're not a member, shout out. I'm happy to help you.
Right. And that also allows them to find the directory and the members listed on the directory, as well as being under Twitter and Facebook as the Ring Finders.
Yes. And there's also, if anybody's interested in listening out there, I have a YouTube channel called Turner's Treasure Team. If you want to check out, I've got about 170 videos of recoveries and smiles.
And for those who have seen the promos, all the links are also in the promo. Jeff?
Yeah, well, I'm just Jeff Lubert, and I'm also a member of the Ring Finders as well. I'm on that directory, and also a co-host of Relic Roundup, which is every Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, on 1,000 Mics right here with Josh. So
Very good. And also a member of the Eureka Treasure Hunters.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, board member, actually, and for some reason, it sounds like they're trying to line me up to be president. I don't know if I have time for that, but hey.
Take the challenges as they come.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, everybody knows where to find me. I'm on Facebook as Treasure Seeker. I operate the Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound Facebook group. You can find me on YouTube under Ohio Metal Detecting. There's some nice ring return videos there. And for all the listeners, we definitely appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. If you've enjoyed the show, please, by all means, like and rate the channel, click the pink hands, throw us a comment out there, let us know what you thought of the show. And we're kind of out of time, but before the show, Chris and I had talked about a special giveaway for listeners. If you are on Facebook, the Beyond Sight and Sound group, or even on my my Facebook page has Treasure Seeker, stay tuned. In a day or so, we will put a special contest out there for a nice prize, I must say, that is courtesy of Chris Turner, the Ring Finders, Beyond Sight and Sound. I think they'll enjoy it. So, make sure to like, rate the channel. Chris, sorry that we've ran kind of short on time, but we'd love to have you back any time and hear more of your stories, because I'm sure you've got them.
Thank you so much.
And Jeff, we certainly appreciate you staying in there with us too, and calling in and sharing some of your experiences with us. We're going to get out of here, folks, because I got to go. Hang in there with me for a few minutes, guys. As always, tune in next week, because you never know what we're going to come up with next. And until then, like, rate the channel, stay persistent, don't get discouraged, and get out there and find something. Continue to help those people and collect the smiles. We'll see you next time, folks.